cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. All right, you divine lions and lionesses, welcome back to another Send It Sunday. About to live stream very shortly because the Jubilee begins. We'll be discussing $5,039 an ounce silver. This ShockWave sending sovereignty signals across the world. The 3i Atlas event, its own signals, NESARA active, clean energy fusion, Commander-in-Chief Trump's incredible power moves, and the Golden Age is upon us in a massive way at all levels. See you soon in the live chat. Look forward to it. Well, welcome back to Send It Sunday, everybody. And it's great to be with you all once again. I trust you had an amazing Christmas holiday, Hanukkah as well, and l'chaim to everybody. Remember, the Christian Orthodox holiday comes up right after this New Year on January 1st. It's incredible that we're already here, right? And this is really amazing to be discussing this right now. I got Foggy, Indiana, and Montana in the chat, so welcome all of you. And B. Sanders, great to see you here. Some of the names here on Rumble, and then we've got comments on YouTube. Appreciate it. But the Jubilee has begun, and that has happened most especially since Thanksgiving. So we're going to discuss that 5,039 ounce silver through Atlas, sovereignty, returning of sovereignty in God, Commander-in-Chief Trump's remarkable power moves, and the Golden Age, which we're here, including the Golden Fleet. Pardon me for a second because the air conditioning is blowing on me. I just have to do a little cough here. Thank you for that. But I'm still in this situation where, you know, I'm in a beautiful environment in terms of the sun and the light and the plants and the vibrational state of people. And it gets maybe like 10 hours of sun at this time of year. I know a lot of you can comprehend this as well. So let me just, first off, we're going to get into silver here very shortly, but the Great Jubilee. So this was on US Tech Clock. Many of you have seen it. I've shared it numerous times. The wealth transfer. And this was also posted last night, ready, set, go, new money for a new America. Now they're recycling this, but they're getting everyone ready and schooled up on it. And what's really incredible for people to comprehend is that right now it's Sunday, December 28th. The Shanghai markets are about to open and silver is already priced at $82 an ounce, even though it closed at $79.59 in the US marketplace on the exchanges on Friday. But it's already been repriced by one of the largest gold and silver bullion dealers to $81. So tomorrow when it opens, it's probably going to hit 90 and then go up to $100 an ounce, maybe by January 1st. I wouldn't be surprised that it hits 120. My goodness, by February 1st, if not sooner. And I'm going to give you all the reasons why. Remember, you can go here anywhere on YouTube or to Rumble on the Sovereign Soul Show, and you can see my 120 an ounce silver show from a month ago. You can see my $8,000 an ounce gold show from 6 weeks ago. And prior to that, in September, I did a $5,000 an ounce gold show discussing all of the indicators. So these are all real data, real analysis based on math, plus open source information so you can see it for yourself. And I have quite a bit that I have pulled together to discuss all of these realms and these 5 buckets, if you will, these 5 pillars over the course of the show here right now. So it's pretty amazing. Good to see that we have lots of beautiful snow there from David Walter, and we've got Cape Breton, Nova Scotia in here. Fantastic. And congrats to you saying that you bought 3,000 ounces of silver and over sold it before turning to crypto from Crypto Roger. So brilliant. Well done. Well done, everybody. Because not only will it likely open or hit 90 an ounce or 100 an ounce tomorrow on Monday in the American marketplace in North America, plus London on a US dollar value, what you're also going to see is it getting up to that into the thousands of dollars. So this is really the kind of precipice of a gold run, which is beginning. So great to see you. Good morning. It's Monday over New Zealand. So great to see you here in the chat too. So without further ado, I'm going to continue on this. First of all, what is a Jubilee? So when you look at it from a biblical standpoint, when you look at it from scripture, and then you also look at Jubilee, the term Jubilee has been used historically and spiritually as a release of debt, and a restoration of inheritance, and a reset of cycles. So where we are here is this is pattern recognition, because I've talked about everybody leveraging their discernment, giving you open source information. If anybody needs to fact check, back check, question things, go out there for yourself, take what resonates, leave that what doesn't, right? And again, we're literally reading the signals, right? We saw the fire in the sky over a month and a half ago, Friay Atlas. So from a Jubilee, from a financial standpoint, even though this is resetting financial, political, energetic, spiritual, conscious level, this is an authority setting transmission across the entire planet, a shift in the balance of all types of power. And literally, like President Trump said, I think this is a very apt quote from his first inauguration as 45. We're taking the power out of DC and we're putting it back into the hands of the people. So America is really leading the charge in this. And I also want to acknowledge all of the farmers and all of the multiple countries across the Europe landscape right now, from Greece to France to London and the UK, all into Ireland, Scotland, you name it, Italy. I know I've left out a few countries right now, but it's everywhere. The farmers have been standing up over the last several weeks en masse by the tens of thousands with their John Deere tractors and their other type of tractors, and saying no more to the globalism, no more to these ridiculous fraud schemes like we saw in Minnesota. So again, this Jubilee is a reset of everything, a reset of the balance of power, taking it out of the deep state monarchy in the cabal's hands, which right now, this silver shockwave, the cabal cannot stop. It's done, because silver has split from gold. And you're going to see a lot more in this incredible episode. This is the last episode of the year for us right now as it stands. I don't have anything planned until January 1st for all of you. But right here, I want you to look at the signals of what is going on. And what's key, since this is a 5th generation warfare, I would even say 6th generational warfare, we start with spiritual warfare first and foremost. So when you see something like the Quran, and you see Major General Valley on here multiple times saying that nowhere in the Quran, it's not a religion, it's an ideology. Nowhere in the Quran does it say anything about love. So now we're having a shift from demigods and ideologies of socialism, communism, which are all part of a deep state, Kabbalistic, satanic agenda, coming back to a return to sovereignty in God. And for all of you who have been here, that you have been members of the audience here on the Sovereign Soul Show for nearly 4 seasons. Thank all of you for that. And since 2022, I've been saying it's about a return to sovereignty in God all across the planet and even the galaxy, if you want to go that far, because we have galactic signs with Friay Atlas that just crossed its heliacal intersection point with Earth over the last 6.5 days. And I'm going to go to a reading on that very shortly. Sovereignty in God is where it starts, though. And when we look at this from a spiritual standpoint, we look at a spiritual revival that has really been kicked in to something incredible with the play that you saw with the Charlie Kirk assassination. It ignited a spiritual revival across the planet. Heck, even in Edmonton and Calgary, when I was there this fall, they had the stadiums full and people praying on the streets. I even saw it in, completely communist, socialist, satanic British Columbia. You had cafes who had printed, one had printed a portrait in Salmon Arm, BC of Charlie Kirk and God. So you have this restoration. And here's a figure that just happened on Fox News of US churchgoers attend church per month. Gen Z, the young generation, those who are in high school, university age right now in North America, are returning to it in droves. I've got a quick video here. I'm going to play that on Fox News as they discuss it very fast.
Have been fed the lie of socialism, and socialism is basically anti-God. And they've been turned off, I think, by this, and they're asking themselves, there's got to be something more. And so, yes, they're going to church, but Bible sales are up. So they're buying Bibles, they're reading for themselves, they're going to church. And I think Charlie Kirk's assassination, and the man supposedly who killed him said that too many people were listening to Charlie Kirk and he wanted to shut him up. He and the millennials have been fed the lie of socialism.
And that's exactly what you see, right? Because innately, when we are born as babies, we are all born with love, altruism in our hearts. So altruism means you want to do good for yourself and do good for others. And that has been stagnated, stymied, suppressed, oppressed. Societal conditioning has taken that out of all of us. For the most part, not every one of you, when I'm just saying en masse, generally speaking, which we've seen generationally from all different types of institutions, financial institutions, tax, debt, enslavement as well. Then you have also the authoritarian mechanisms of changing the Republic of the United States for America, republic, sovereign, free, all the way into a corporation in 1871, which they did to Canada as a crown corporation in 1867. Remember, for all my Canadian brothers and sisters here, and for those of you who don't remember, me, Brad Wozny, signed up and was an infantry soldier in the Canadian Armed Forces, had my stint in there for a bit. So I thought I was signing up out of an altruistic humanitarian, hey, I see what's happening overseas. I want to be holding that line as a peacekeeper. Thought great time in the 1990s. This is something I want to stand up for. There's a massacre of children, men, women. This is wrong. This is genocide. What can I do to help to be part of that? That was the reason I got involved. All of you know my backstory a little bit prior to that as well. Turns out Crown Corporation of Canada, which was registered July 1st, 1867 in Washington, D.C. So the headquarters for Canada is Washington, D.C., just like Australia Crown Corporation. New Zealand as well was split away from the sovereign territory of Australia over to that. And yes, of course, way prior to that, I'm only talking the last 150, 200 years, but way prior to that, you also have the indigenous nations of the different peoples around the world, the Polynesians, Maori, etc., descended from it. So I'm just taking it from around roughly 250th year historical jubilee we're entering right now. 1776 times 250 equals 2026 jubilee year across the planet. And I have had it, and I have heard that President Trump, who was originally the plans many years ago when he set in motion July 4, 2026, that you would have every state in America celebrating for a year till July 4, 2027, the one full year celebration of the Jubilee for America. I have been told that he has actually said, of course, I'm not talking to President Trump directly, so I'm just conveying to you what I have been told, is that he has said he wants 2026 from July 4, 2026 to 27 to be a one-year Jubilee celebration for the world. For the world. How amazing is that? So regardless of where you are, Nikki in New Zealand, we have friends in Ontario, Jenny, to Ricky, to everybody who's elsewhere on Rumble from around the planet. Alberta in the chat, Frosty, New England in here as well. I see on our Rumble chat, Montana, fantastic, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas. Thank you all for being here. Hey, this is the time to celebrate what is to come, because all of those deep state systems, from health care, sick care, murder care into wellness, are crashing down massively. And yeah, we just saw with Gwen Wendell just said here, you know, if you haven't purchased, watching text, you haven't purchased Simpler, it's not too late. Red Rocket Countdown. Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a launch thing. So here we are, right? We continue to see crazy things enacted too to wake people up. And part of that waking up, I just heard Norman Traversy, you know, we talked almost every single morning all throughout the holidays. He said, did you hear in Canada, they just made a law, of course, to make rules for thee, not for me, right? they said, number one, all ministers of parliament in Canada, you are exempt from any of the laws. There you go. Number two, if you're caught drinking water, drinking coffee, eating anything while you're driving across Canada, Crown Corporation lands, it's an immediate $10,000 fine while they let pedophiles go free. So it's just incredible and over the top in these last bastions of what they're trying to do, including weather weapons that we've seen. Earthquakes were reported to be having happened, but they haven't yet. Massive at 5, 5.7, almost up to 7 on the Richter scale from San Francisco over the last 72 hours, all the way down to Los Angeles. And yeah, there is still some weather wars going on. But there's almost nothing at this point in time that you can see, right? From a global standpoint, the wars have stopped. So back to NESARA, the National Economic Security Act, and Reformation Act, which is also in just SARA, replace the N with the G, that's Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Part of that is the end to all wars, all conflicts, and all genocide, crimes against humanity as well. So we have it coming up right now, which is fantastic. So next, what we've got coming for us in 2026 is the justice is coming. As Q said in the Delta drop, justice by Christmas. And you see President Trump ramping it up on Truth Social all across the morning of Christmas, December 25th, all throughout, like dozens of posts on stolen treason, stolen elections, right? The election fraud uncovered in Georgia, Michigan. The Attorney General in Michigan right now did a full audit of the election, found mass irregularities, but is not publishing the audit. Isn't that interesting? So much going on here too. Well, let's go to Friay Atlas for a moment, because I've been covering this topic for nearly 3 months right now. And what that's heliacal intersection point with Earth, once again, it was all biblical celestial signs from heaven, which the mathematical probability is virtually impossible for all of these to have happened at this certain period of time, right? So let me take you over here to share the screen and go over to David Sereda. This is, again, astrophysicist here on medium.com. And this is his last read, 4-minute read from 4 days ago. The Friay Atlas points the way to the Sirius heliacal rising. And once again, this guy has done incredible math, decoding it far beyond what I could do, right? And he said it's far beyond most calculations can do, that based on the trajectory of this starship, literal starship, spacecraft, Friay Atlas that's been named, right, has demonstrated the 3 most important angles in the ancient Egyptian world. And as he's discussed many times, and I've shared it here on different shows, there's an entire Friay Atlas show you guys can all go back to and look from about 2 months ago. The 26-degree angle of its jet tail and anti-tail, right? One's beginning, one's ending, which is equivalent to the interior angle slope of the inside of the Great Pyramid's ascending and descending passageways. And it would be the Great Pyramid slope angle to Earth on Christmas Day, which just passed, and the complementary angle of resurrection at 90 degrees has the entire numbers here. So how did the Egyptians mark their calendar year? It was a Sirius heliacal rising, which is when the star Sirius returns to the position of rising just before the sun rises on a specific day each year at Giza. So this is literally the rebirth year of our sun, December 25, right? To me, basis way to put it is, hey, this is the birthday of the sun. And here we are. Goddess Isis was said to be the incarnation of the star Sirius itself in Egyptian mythology. Temples of worship to her were established all over the early kingdom of Egypt, which before the Greek and later Roman invasions encompassed the green areas in this map in the 14th century BC. Now hang in here for a moment, because this gets really, really powerful when you see how he has put the intersected angles where it literally all points to the birthplace of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, was inside the boundary, inside Bethlehem. Here you are. So temples observed the Sirius heliacal rising, which he's stating here is at different dates according to their latitude. So their little placement in the solar system, right? So here we are, the location of a synagogue. And by the way, what he's referring to here, I just skipped by my apologies for scrolling so fast. He has this Smithsonian Mag, this is in 2021, article that a 2,000-year-old synagogue was found in Mary Magdalene's hometown. And here he has it. The location of the synagogue site is at the angle of resurrection from the Great Pyramid, which is the same angle that he has calculated on Friay. I mean, this is incredible. And Ein Isa is also interpreted from Aramaic to the eye of Jesus, intersecting. Here we have the synagogue. Here we have Bethlehem at 26 degrees rather, and the Great Pyramids. So all of these ancient angles, and there's ancient Alexandria just sitting right there and giving us the signs where he says in the Gospels, Jesus appears 3 times at the Sea of Galilee at this Egyptian angle of resurrection where this new Jewish synagogue was discovered. 2,000-year-old new, but was discovered in Mary Magdalene's hometown. So here it is. He said the Sirius Heliacal rising occurred at the time of Jesus at the Giza Plateau, where the 3 pyramids are situated on July 19th using the Roman Julian calendar. Then he goes into the Magdala Synagogue and discusses that. And then July 22nd is Mary Magdalene's feast day on her birthday. So why is a Jewish temple observing her birth, which became feast on the date that the ancient Egyptians observed New Year's Day, the rise of the star of Isis, Sirius, on this date? The Aramaic Syriac translation of Luke says, and you shall conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall name him Yahshua. And it comes on, and he breaks it down in Aramaic and classical Syria, Mesopotamia. I mean, incredible work which has been done. Let me just show you quickly the article that he's referring to. You can all go ahead and pull this up. You can just quickly Google it. Researchers unearthed 2,000-year-old synagogue in Mary Magdalene's supposed, right, alleged hometown. Just remarkable as it continues on here today to see all of these signs in the heavens of what we cannot not ignore. I mean, we are, and why I say that is, yeah, people can turn a blind eye and decide to ignore it. But in the information age, being ignorant right now to actual truth which is out there, or doing deep dives on your own, that's 100% a choice of people to see what is happening and to ignore it. So we have all these beautiful signals and markers of these cycles which are closing out, that are literally disrupting narratives from a religious standpoint to a true spiritual standpoint, right? Remember, as Greg Braden has said, and he decoded in our DNA over 20 years, and he found in Aramaic, Sanskrit, and one of the other ancient languages that when you look at the helix of our DNA, 144,000, it actually literally translates to God eternal within the body. So the God code, our ancient code of source, the almighty creator, is within us to be expressed into the world, which goes back to my aspect of altruism, babies, children who are born, and the starseed children who are coming in right now is remarkable, right? So speaking of birth, we are in a rebirth and a renewal of the archetypes in the Aquarian age, the Golden Age, right here, right now. And the Golden Age means so much, both from a consciousness indicator of the uplift in consciousness and ascension for all of mankind, sentient life on the planet, but also I want to emphasize the interpretation. It includes financial for everybody and that return to sovereignty in God, this crossing, this incredible informational moment. These aren't doom events, everybody. These are moments historically for our history that not only bring safety and true security in all its forms to everybody, but literally we are here at this point in time to rejoice in this incredible consciousness cycle for humanity. And we will also see you can tie, and I'm not an astrologer, but you can tie astrological events, cosmic events, to the governance of earthly cycles. And so we're in the archetype, the death and the rebirth, which then gets me back to silver and gold, which is interesting how we do this, right? We're looking at the guidance of great arbiters of truth and power across our ways right now, which is remarkable. And those stem from, first and foremost, President Trump, who is the man who is chosen by 200 flag officers, generals, and admirals as a man who feels that he was anointed by God, the Cyrus the Great of our time, which we've discussed many times on our shows. Bishop Jim O'Connor has discussed it thoroughly as well, that he has been anointed as Cyrus the Great of our times to take down the structures of Babylon. And remember, at BIS in Switzerland, the Bank of International Settlements, which is where every settlement was to go through and has been going through for all time with SWIFT since the beginning and establishment of the Federal Reserve Bank in 1913 via the 1913 Act in the United States, which again instituted and gave birth to the IRS, the ADL, the FBI, and the FRB, the Federal Reserve Board, no longer. So that BIS tower in Switzerland, which is a 100% modeled after the Tower of Babylon, which is where every financial transaction had to clear through in the entire world. In the old system, that old system is nearly gone right now, which is truly freaking remarkable. And you are about never are you going to see silver, gold, precious metals, palladium, copper hidden all-time high as well. And you see palladium and platinum as well tied to silver's outbreak from gold. So reversing it. So again, I'm going to get to all of the deep dive on this for every single one of you. And we talk about the spiritual revival. We talk about sovereignty, and we talk about a change in the monetary order. Finally, for the benefit of humanity, I want you to look at this from a sovereignty's perspective, right? The government's backwards. Government, remember, is derived from the Latin term governus mentis, to control mind. So governus mentis, two words put together, stands for to control minds, government. So you have to have small governance, right? Because we are private. You, your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, children are truly private, except these governus mentis corporations establish social security numbers, social insurance numbers to trade you as a, unbeknownst to you, an unwilling, completely fraudulent employee of their corporation trading you like chattel on stock exchanges. And here it is. You're private. The government should really know nothing about you, right? Just that good versus bad, take care of the bad. And they are the public servants, which is what you saw President Trump do, removing the term limits, no more term limits in Senate, Congress as well. So we should know everything about them being our true representatives for us in a small form of governance. And when I mention that the world order from a money financial statistic, not statistic, rather point, has changed. This fulcrum of gold and silver, which has broken the back of the Federal Reserve banks. Like Q said, gold shall destroy the Fed. Well, do you remember back in the mid-2000s, 2015 to 2019, one of the most richest men on Wall Street and well-known around the world, Ray Dalio, go ahead and look up what he owns, right? What his hedge fund is. When you look at, you see those who are on the side of the World Economic Forum, those who are on the side of harping for genocide, those who are on the side of establishing a one world order, now is on Meet the Press. I want you to listen to this clip with Ray Dalio, what he is saying now. And I want you to pay special attention to the image behind the screen. It'll flash for a few moments. I think you'll find that fascinating because those signals are right there.
Right now, we are at a decision-making point and very close to a recession. And I'm worried about something worse than a recession if this isn't handled well. A recession is 2 negative quarters of GDP, and whether it goes slightly there, we always have those things. We have something that's much more profound. We have a breaking down of the monetary order. We are going to change the monetary order because we cannot spend the amounts of money, so we have that problem. And when we talk about the dollar and we talk about tariffs, we have that. We are having profound changes in our domestic order, how ruling is existing, and we're having profound changes in the world order. Such times are very much like the 1930s. I've studied history, and this repeats over and over again. So if you take tariffs, if you take debt, if you take the rising power challenging the existing power, if you take those factors and look at the factors, those changes in the orders, the systems, are very, very disruptive. How that's handled could produce something that is much worse than a recession.
So there you have it. You have all of those figureheads have been flipped over. You have Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan Chase right now talking about using like XRP RippleNet, which is installed, and using borderless, cashless transactions backed by digital assets. We'll take you right over here to the United States Treasury. So as we walk in, because you are in the spiritual revival that is taking place across the world, which is returning you and all of us, of course, to sovereignty and God. Let's just take you over here to the United States Treasury. And this link I'm pulling up for you is just a synopsis of their year in review right now. And for those of you who remember what President Trump and the White Hat Alliance has done in flipping people, remember that Scott Bessent was a George Soros fellow and ran his office in the city of London. Now he is rocking the U.S. Treasury on behalf of the Commander-in-Chief. And what you see here is Secretary Bessent's first year making America great again. We are less than a month away from 1 year being broadcast out to the world. America's created for the first time ever its sovereign wealth fund. And here's what Scott Bessent says, the Secretary of the Treasury right now. President Trump has outlined a vision for a stronger, safer, more prosperous America. I'm honored to work for him in implementing this vision. The three components of the Trump economic agenda, tariffs, tax cuts, and deregulation, are not standalone policies. They are interlocking parts of an engine designed to drive economic growth and domestic manufacturing. So here you have key accomplishments, the one big beautiful bill, giving working families tax cuts permanently, establishing Trump accounts, no tax on tips, senior deductions, the IT budget savings, Doge did so much, right? And getting rid of that and saving it for Americans of $2 billion, the Genius Act, which is the stablecoin framework. And remember, they printed 500 billion stablecoins on Ripple in 12 days since the signing of this act. So here you can all go here and explore the achievements on number one, making America prosperous again, making Treasury efficient again, making America safe again, making America respected again. It's all there, which is extremely powerful. And in order to do that, you need to return to the gold and the silver standard based on constitutional money, based on the Mint Act in Philadelphia of 1792, which is where you've established a ratio of gold and silver of 15 to 1. 15 ounces of silver equate to 1 ounce of gold. That's where it is. That's where it's coming back to. We're going to cover those ratios here right now for everybody. So congratulations. And if you don't, all right, everybody, we work with Goldco. That's our partner. They are freaking amazing. In fact, I'm just going to show you this because now they have 8,000 five-star reviews. You can't find any other precious metals firm in the country, in America whatsoever, who even has more than 500 five-star reviews. They have 8,000, and they were voted last year the #1 in customer service. They're your precious metal. They were like having God on speed dial for your precious metals needs. So I'm just going to play this here for you as well from our partner Goldco, and they are absolutely amazing because my goodness, for people, if they're not ready for this rocket ship and this bull run, you know, don't say that we didn't tell you so. Don't say that the market didn't tell you so. It is happening. It has already started to happen. And you just saw silver go for $7 increase, near 11% on Friday. No commodity in history that I have ever seen, and others have been conveying this and trying to research it, ever leapt 11% in a single day. No precious metals that we have seen has leapt at that level 11% in a single day. And that's what silver did. And it's trading higher right now in China than it is in the stock exchanges and the exchanges waiting to open tomorrow morning in America, and later this evening, our time in the Americas, later in Europe, and it will go like freaking crazy and wildfire. So definitely now is the time to get in. 100%. Buddha Love Gold, lovesgold.com is our link, by the way. But hey, here's a quick clip of President Trump saying himself in our Goldco commercial. Back in a second. All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 five-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com. All right, we're back. So yeah, BuddhaLovesGold.com. Get over there right now. Free kit. There's a phone call. Everything is, you can call them toll free. 100%. This is like having God on speed dial from a precious metals perspective in terms of your own team, with over 8,000 five-star reviews. That they just passed that 2 weeks ago. Nobody comes close. Nobody. So what you're looking on screen right now is a shot from US debt clock. And what the US debt clock is showing is that the current value of gold should be reflected without that suppression in the COMEX and with the LME. Now remember, the LME, that's the London Mercantile Exchange, they canceled in July the ability to trade futures on precious metals. Like, that was it. It's almost like throwing up their hands and saying, okay, bye-bye, you got us. So right now, gold should be $9,245 per ounce. So that is just over double what it's trading right now at 40, or it was locked in on Friday and last traded on Friday in North America at 45.59. So it should be double where it is right now. Let me take you over to debt clock. And I'm going to zoom in on a couple of things. So number one, you see down here in the right-hand corner, I just drag you over here. There we are. Guide you, I guess. No, I don't want to drag anybody. You're all amazing. Fed fiat dollar. Well, there's the dollar loss in value since 1913. So $1 Federal Reserve note, nothing federal, nothing reserve about it, is now worth 96.23% less. Well, the translation is, if you had $1 in 1913 and you had that same dollar bill in your hand right now, that dollar bill actually represents only 2.987% of your buying power. Incredible, right? So that's it as a cent, so less than 3 cents is the value. I got a little bit distracted trying to be like exact, right? But I know you all appreciate that. So here you are, the USA Treasury. So again, Fed, Treasury, difference, fiat, dividend, dollar. Dividend. What pays a dividend? Stocks pay a dividend. If you've got an employee stock ownership plan and your company profits, then you get a dividend for that. So the business of America returned to the republic and its constitutional authority and constitutional law and backings by constitutional amendments and assertments of such. You are going to be profiting massively, even from Treasury issuing you money in 2026, the Jubilee year. Just like you saw President Trump announce right before Christmas, he said, every one of our military members, since we're going into the Jubilee, $1,776, no tax, wartime dividend. What was the name of it? It was the Warrior Dividend. Incredible. So here you have the 92.46 per ounce and what dollar should be. And then gold should be. And then also you have dollar to silver should be 11.66 right now, right? And on the 5-year, 15.53. At least. But Brad, you're talking about $5,039 silver. Yeah, because Debt Clock here, when you look at it, and Echo did an amazing job just breaking this down, because back then we were tracking the money supply issued, money 1, money 2, money 3, M2, right? Which was known for the money supply issue. So what you were looking at then is based on the mathematical formula of how you got a 5,039. If everybody can see in the top right-hand corner, 2020, it said that the price of silver should have been $5,039 per ounce based on the amount of money supply which was printed and put out into the world. So this is year-over-year increase in the U.S. money supply divided by the yearly world production of silver in ounces. So with silver in 2020 to 2021 to 2023, in 2023, silver price zero because you barely had an increase in the production of silver, yet you had trillions of dollars being printed and flooding into the economy, depressing the value of the U.S. Federal Reserve note. So in that mathematical equation, it's almost zero. Again, this is just a mathematical equation to show you what its true value should have been based on the printing of the fiat dollar, not the U.S. Treasury. So when you look at it and back it out, and remember I did the cost of annual growth rate calculation for all of you in the $5,000 an ounce, $8,000 an ounce gold scenario show 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago. You can go find that show, right? Just over 6 weeks ago. Well, what was it? On the date that I did that show for all of you, I said, well, let's look 750 days back and let's look at the time what the price of gold was then, and let's give us the annual growth rate on a daily averaging basis as to where it should be 750 in the future. So I went back 750 and went, where would it be 750 days from now, which would be September 22nd, 2027 on that day. And gold would be 8,000 an ounce. And in order for that, based on the 750 annual growth rate on a daily average for silver, well, that would be 120 ounces. Now that was back then 6 weeks ago. And 6 weeks ago, you had silver had not even broke $50 an ounce. And it's likely going to be open tomorrow morning and cross $90 an ounce. 90. I mean, it was only a week ago that it crossed 70. Hello. Incredible. So we're right here, right now. And all of the signs are in front of our eyes. Now, if that makes you feel like doing this, it's time for a little bit of a laughter break, everybody, because once you go like math and averages and you start talking like, Brad, man, I know you went to do your honors economics degree at the indoctrination camp of Wilfrid Laurier University, but you know, I like to party. Let's be good. Let's have some feel good vibes. So came across this video yesterday. Some of you might have seen it. Posted it to the socials. Enjoy it if you haven't. I'll play this twice because it's a quickie and it's a good one.
Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, 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 beep. Vibe is running. Beep, beep, beep. Bassline's hitting and the vibe is running. Stepping in the rave, yeah, the rhythm is right.
All right, one more time. I'm gonna play that one more time. It's so good, eh? I like the freeze frame.
And the vibe is running. Beat, 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 beat. Vibe is running. Beat, 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 beat. Vibe is running. Beat, 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 beat. Vibe is running. Beat, beat, beat. Bassline's hitting and the vibe is running. Stepping in the rave, yeah, the rhythm is right.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. All right. So remember, right now, 8,000 5-star reviews, Goldco. You can buy direct. You can talk to them about your 401k and your IRA, score an instant match and free silver or gold. I don't know how long that's going to freaking last based on this astronomical price and the fact that it broke away. But that's BuddhaLovesGold.com. I'll take you right there. My picture's on the screen. We'll get after it. Okay, so what other signals are in front of your face with all of this going on, everybody? Well, we know about gematria. We've talked about it many, many times, right? And for those of you who needed to see it, I have that screenshot here for you. That was right before I came on. The Shanghai silver price in dollars is $81.99 an ounce. Just round it off for a penny. It's $82. We've already had bullion traders, big exchanges, reprice it to match that. And it's going to come up to that very, very soon, right? And even US Debt Clock posted over the last few days, once again, that there is a system reset in silver. Well, what is that system reset? What it's telling us in the top right-hand corner here is that 233 trading is suspended. Silver revaluation. So based on what US Debt Clock is telegraphing, based on what we see, and I'm about to get you into the gematria, because once you look at the periodic table of elements, you have the AU for gold and you have the AG for silver. Let me just show you the numbers once again, where it sits and it stands, because not only will gold end the Fed, but you're sitting here with the periodic table of silver showing you a couple things. 47, as you saw in the thumbnail for the show. So who's 47 right now? That guy right there, Q plus, holding up that little Thor's hammer, right? With the lightning coming down for the storm. 47. And periodic element, number on the table, 47. And then you have the atomical element number of 107.87. So I want you to stare at this again, because when you look at gematria from an alphabetical standpoint, A is the first letter in the alphabet, and the letter G is the 17th. It's really incredible when we have these celestial signs, all these signs pointing. It's like Chicken Little screaming at us, right? That here we are, it is happening. And it is the Jubilee for everybody right now. So we have that snap of silver, which is now at 52 ratio to gold. And remember, just a year ago, silver was $29 an ounce. And you've got it at 82 on Shanghai Exchange. And it's likely going to whoosh, go right past 90 tomorrow on Monday. And I'm not a financial advisor. Never play one on TV, not an investment broker, not a doctor, never want to be one either. And one thing that investment brokers and advisors would never tell you, because they would lose their job for what's called selling away the client, is they would never put you into actual physical bullion. None of that paper shit, you know, the ETFs and the ITFs that are all blowing up right now. So we're going to get into the paper stuff, right? The paper market, the fiat market, that is what is going away, backed by nothing. It's not ISO 20022, which is what everything has to trade at. And in the NESARA guidelines, the US Treasury, the Federal Reserve Bank can operate alongside the US Treasury for a year based on what I have researched and read. So over the course of that year, the Fed can start siphoning back all of its false currency and paper that's now worth, under 3 cents its original value, while the Treasury is getting ready to issue stable coins that are backed by actual precious metals and assets in America, and other great things. And this might be the birth of your rainbow currency coming in the Jubilee year, all lining up for its perpetual significance of our return to sovereignty in God across the planet. And once again, silver is the liberator. And right there, you have all of those signs on the coin, including JFK's head on the gold coin, assassinated because of what he was doing to take down the deep state by issuing the silver back, going around the Fed. He went around the Federal Reserve cartel banksters, and he issued $4.3 billion, right, of silver and gold. And then they took him out with that, for that and many other reasons, and warning about the military industrial complex, the medical industrial complex, etc. Right? Pharmacy comes from pharmakia. Pharmakia in the Bible, sorcery. How many people have been cured from being prescribed medications for life? Please show me one, right? But in the meantime, here we are. We have incredible wellness stories from people which are coming out. So silver is the liberator. Then we've got that going up to gold. And as I showed you once again, if you're just jumping in here, you have it with the US debt clock showing you in real time right now. You can see the numbers on the screen. They're flipping over here. You've got the dollar to silver ratio should be 11.66. The dollar to gold right now, it should be 92.46 an ounce for gold. You're seeing the total hidden wealth, the recaptured assets going right across the screen, the stock market wealth, the land, the real estate, the mineral reserves, precious metals reserves. And here you go, U.S. national debt, but also look at the federal savings, the savings per adult, and the DeFi bankless future for everybody. And JP Morgan Chase just admitting by Jamie Dimon, on the news, on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, not long ago, a few days ago, JP Morgan Chase is long on gold and silver. So they're basically, that's an indicator to me, they've dumped their derivatives. They're been off-selling and offloading all of their paper shorts on COMEX. And remember, it was Thanksgiving Day that the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the largest freaking exchange in the world for precious metals, halted trading, stopped global trading for nearly 12 freaking hours. And they made up this bullshit story that a server melted down. Really? With triple failover redundancies and Knox? When I was at RIM BlackBerry in 2000, we had that triple redundancy failover in different network operation centers and server rooms from different places just in case something overheated and melted down. No, total BS, right? Because somebody put in an order in the billions of dollars to make a run on silver, and they couldn't fulfill the orders because those paper calls are being asked to fulfill the orders in precious metals, actual silver, instead of cash. Nobody wants the cash of the fiat Federal Reserve dollar anymore. They're asking for silver. So they go off and they say, I'm selling out of my positions. Give me the physical precious metals to fill that order in the positions. And they're saying, no, we'll give you cash and wire it to your account. They're like, I don't want the cash. I want the physical metal. Because in the hour or the day or the 5 days that it takes to transact from offloading the paper and to take that receipt of the precious metals, they want the upside in the precious metals markets as opposed to the downside of the fiat reserve currency, which you see going down massively. I'll go once again, show you all that you can take a snapshot of this on US debt clock today as it shows you in real time. The Fed fiat dollar is down over to almost 97% its position from 1913, but you have a 10-year gain of 34.44% on what's about to be issued, the USA Treasury dividend dollar. And they've already announced the stablecoin issues, right? It is incredible, amazing. Thank you, President Trump and the White Hats, for everything that you're doing. Now, I want you to also comprehend what is next coming for everybody on January 1st. And yes, this is on deck clock now. Ready, set, go. Last night posted new money for a new America. A couple of things as it relates to silver, gold, and why, you know, it could be 1,000 an ounce easily in the next year, or it could maybe even go higher over the next 4 years, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 an ounce silver. Why? Number one, when you look at December 31st, that's the end of the fiscal year for virtually every publicly traded financial institution in the Americas, Canada, United States, and more or less around the world too, from the London markets and Australia's exchanges, you name it, right? From Bay Street to Wall Street to London, France, Germany, you name it. December 31st fiscal year. So their fiscal year resets January 1st in the Jubilee year. So they have to take care of all their positions. Everything has to be covered by the last day of trading. Now, remember, if they are short positions on Friday in silver, palladium, platinum, and copper, remember, copper reached an all-time high on Friday as well, even though the focus has been on silver. Palladium, platinum, and copper are tied to silver, and silver broke away from its ratio with gold because it was always kind of like a heart rate monitor. Here's silver, here's gold, and it kind of spiked at the same time. And then boom, you have this gargantuan hockey stick going up with silver. The same thing with palladium, platinum, copper, precious metals too, tied to silver. So those who are short their derivatives in the private, nothing to see here, derivatives market, and they couldn't cover their positions on Friday, they have to cover it tomorrow. And do you know what typically happens by the institutional brokerage houses that want to cover those positions? So if they're especially trying to do it on margin call, then that means that those brokerages, regardless of who the client is, whether they're a big private wealthy investor or a family office or they're a tier 2 bank, in order to cover the margin calls, the investment brokerage isn't going to take on the risk. They have access to everything else of that client. So if that client owes like $180 million to cover their short position Friday because the prices went in the double-digit percentages up before market close, then they liquidate the assets of the rest of their clients' holdings in anything else in order to cover the position, which is amazing. They're fooked. They're fooked. The ones who've been playing the games on all of us, all of you and your family for generations. And that also means that the price goes up. So that's number one. You have the fiscal year happening. Everybody has to get that coverage taken care of, from the largest banks all across to the smallest that are on the fiscal year turnover. Number two, before that hits on Wednesday, December 31st, right? You're sitting here going, well, if I have to cover my positions and I'm on margin from Friday to tomorrow, they're going to liquidate all my stuff on me anyway. That really blows for them. Number three, on the paper markets, right? Number three, we have forgotten to discuss the industrial applications of silver. Don't let that one let you down. In fact, even Elon Musk was griping on X on Friday about the silver price going massively, coming up massively as a result of it, right? Because for the people who are owning the companies, and I don't feel bad for it at all. I mean, this is just by industrial demand, a requirement that you have silver and electronics, that you have the AI supercomputer brains that are being built everywhere, that you have electronic vehicles. There's a tremendous amount of silver in every single battery, even though they're still using cobalt for them and lithium. But every single battery, you have silver in our liquid crystal screens of the displays that we all have on our phones, our laptops, you name it. That now all the industrial players who buy silver, which is part and parcel with the manufacturing processes of their products, they are going to ante up and hedge against the future price and start massive position buying, if not they haven't already. So that will continue to drive it up. Now, I also have this which another great Canadian, Gold Telegraph, said, here's a market cap reality check. And he published this just 5 days ago, that in his research found that all the gold ever mined on Earth, $31 trillion worth. And out of that, for silver, 4. So you have nearly 8 times the amount of gold available than silver. And once again, the economics of supply and demand. So simple, a 5th grader can understand it, right? If you have everybody rushing for a limited, finite supply of silver, and as I shared on the last 3 shows about silver, gold, 5,000 ounce gold, and 8,000 ounce gold, and 120 ounce silver in the last month to 3 months, and showed you why, you had the largest miner producer for silver and gold in Europe say that they had a 3-month moratorium to fill orders for people because they can't take it out of the ground fast enough. So that's really powerful for everybody, because it's also going to be the Wizard of Oz moment in all the countries, whether it's the Canadian banking system, right? All again, tied to the Fed, the central banks tied to the Fed and whatnot, because they're not backed by gold. Now, again, this is a great thing. I'm not saying it's doom and gloom, right? Yeah, have some cash on hand for sure. But this is the restoration, the reset, the financial reset we've all been waiting for, craving to happen, which means, again, that financial return to sovereignty in God. Because what is silver and gold, as it's discussed in the Bible? Bishop Jim has shared it many times. God's money, the true value in it. And yes, it has industrial application, and yes, jewelers as well for gold and silver, etc. is great. But my goodness, this is where you have BRICS, which has been all in on hard assets. You have over 2/3 of the world literally trading on BRICS that are asset-backed precious metals. And one final point, everybody, on New Year's. China announced a couple of weeks ago, as I shared it in the very last gold and silver report, that there are freezing exports on silver on Thursday. So from January 1st on, one of the largest countries in the world by landmass and population is no longer exporting silver. They will mine it and keep it for themselves. And they are gobbling it up, vacuuming up gold and silver by the tons, by the hundreds and hundreds of millions. Even saw a report just from Russia that China bought $981 million of gold from Russia in November. And that all this is done relatively in secret. They don't need to tell people how much they're actually buying, right? But you just know that they're taking and taking and taking in the world's supply as much as they can. Of course, we don't have the ability to play at the level that they do, but you play at your level because you can feel really well that the signs are all there. 47, anatomical element, 107.87. You guys can all do the math on that. You know gematria. And A is the first letter, and G is the 17th in the alphabet. It is 100% lining up for the massive shockwave confirming the Jubilee began. That NESARA is happening and has happened in the United States. They're continuing to clean up conflicts, get out all the nasty people as well, and secure its borders. Yes, as we saw from President Trump, he announced the Golden Fleet of United States Navy ships as well to come that are 100 times more powerful than any Navy ship whatsoever. I happen to believe that that's also included in Space Force, which is why the Space Force logo is here as well. And our Starseed children are doing great. By the way, I want to take this moment, since it's kind of like heavy and exciting information too. I want to acknowledge the kids, as I started this show about saving the children and discussing and sharing with people things that they can do for actions to help themselves, help their family, keep themselves not only safe and secure, but look at the great sight on everything that is coming and has been set up in the plan to save the world. Not a conspiracy whatsoever. All these facts continue to prove themselves out. And it's the children that I find are the most incredible, right? The most resilient hearts, tapping into that altruistic nature of them. And the Starseed children, because I have that series here on the show, happens every few months. I have a guest on and we do a full Starseed children series with a guest. I have found a video which I find totally compelling, beautiful to watch. And if you liked flash mobs, imagine that, because we have some of those in childhood prodigies, which are here right now, these great souls to share just love and light with us that take our breath away in a very good, benevolent manner. And we are just awestruck by some of the talents that they have. Here's that video now. I think you might have all seen this before. It's about 3 minutes. Enjoy this, and then we'll come back to it with President Trump's power moves for the Jubilee year.
Hey, I think she wants to play with you.
She wants to play Vivaldi? You sure? It's very difficult. You can do it?
Yes.
Okay, let's try.
A few moments later.
Ready?
That was more than pretty good, wasn't it? I thought you'd all like that. It really, my heart just expands, magnitude many, many times over when I watch something like this. You see the incredulity of children just doing something that they truly enjoy, maybe laughing, just unabated, it's unfettered, and it's truth. And they're authentic, especially when you have talents like that and incredible, remarkable kids who are prodigies here, right? And yeah, that for sure. Of course, mom and dad might say, you're going to take these lessons and you're going to sit here and you're going to practice every now and then. But to be able to accomplish that, it's remarkable. And that's something which is also fascinating too. We have the research out now, if you've watched any of our Code of Creation shows and some of the other things I've done on Ascension over the last several years, where you can see the neuroplasticity of a brain does not die over the course of our aging process. And in fact, for children, by the age of 5, children's neuroplasticity in their brains is so remarkable. This is why a child who is 3, 4, or 5 years old can learn and speak fluently 5, 6 different languages. It's remarkable, right? So we all have that ability to come back to that, to return to the source, as Greg said, right? God eternal within the body, our DNA. It's all there. It's in that beautiful helix and that matrix, that 144,000, again, a divine number. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. Nikki, that divine number that was instilled into us, coded into us by source, the great omnipresence of divinity. And that's why everything we're seeing happening right now, which we are all collectively participating in with our consciousness to ignite and help expedite this next level of evolution of mankind, our species, our entire incredible planet and galaxy as well, sending that ripple effect out through the timelines too, is truly magnificent, where we all come together. We can see difficult situations, we can get pissed off at them, but we can also laugh at them. So laughter and joy is also a key thing from, then, love, levity, liberty, right? This is the ethos, the creed of the Sovereign Soul Show. And when you look at this from a standpoint, and I give you an example of laughter, we can take Minnesota, for example, right? We can have a laugh at this and with righteous anger, demand justice. 81% of smaller homes in Minnesota are on welfare. As a matter of fact, this is a statistic which, if anybody has seen the incredible videos from Nick Shirley, total citizen, journalist, independent media guy. You've been out there with Jake Lang, in Dearborn, Michigan. It was Nick Shirley and Jake Lang. And Nick Shirley and Jake also out at the, what do they call that place? The Sharia law neighborhood in Houston, its own freaking city. Sharia law. It's okay to rape children, beat them, stone your wives to death? What? But Nick Shirley has also been great at exposing this, has a 42-minute interview with regards to what has been going on in Minnesota of the massive, massive fraud. So we can look at this and we can sit there, and this is a statistic, by the way, that was confirmed by the Center for Immigration Studies just this year, that 81% of the Somalis in Minnesota are on welfare. 73% are in Medicaid, and the majority of them are just sucking the system dry. And that also includes having the fake childhood centers where they found, dozens of them that have been stealing billions of dollars from the taxpayers. And remember, it was Obama who brought them in. So we can laugh at that from a standpoint where we have images such as this that I'm bringing up on the screen, which is a great way to revel in the fact that truth has gotten out there. And here's what it says: daycare owners in Minnesota with no clients, right? Talk about gold. So the Treasury should get all that and they should melt it down, right? Yeah, exactly, Nikki. Where we go on, we go all. Yeah, truly amazing. Truly amazing. So from this standpoint too, going into the incredible power moves that President Trump has made, we saw him turn around, right? And again, he to me is, I don't know this for certain. I feel this as well. And I know another bunch of people have discussed this too, that he's like the George Washington of our time. And if anybody remembers that famous painting, here's Washington crossing the Delaware. And remember, he asked for volunteers, thought he'd get, 3,000. He got 300. And off they went to fight the largest military in the world, the Brits of that day, of that time. It's absolutely remarkable that now I feel that this is the reincarnation of that man. Whether it is or it isn't, he's definitely Washington-like to restore this. So a couple of other power moves that have happened. Everybody remembers Kash Patel running around saying if he became FBI director, day one, he would close the Hoover building. And he had not. Well, here's his announcement, and it got done. December 26th, that was Friday, they shut down the Hoover building, the FBI building in DC. Now, we all remember 2 years ago in the summertime of 2023, when there were explosions going off in the FBI building, explosions for hours and hours on end, but at least for other people to see it. Here's Kash putting in his own words, and it reads, after more than 20 years of failed attempts, we finalized a plan to permanently close the FBI's Hoover headquarters and move the workforce into a safe, modern facility. Working directly with President Trump and Congress, we accomplished what no one else could. When we arrived, taxpayers were about to be on the hook for nearly $5 billion for a new headquarters that wouldn't open for a decade, until 2035. We scrapped that plan. Instead, we selected the area, the already existing Reagan building, saving billions and allowing the transition to begin immediately with required safety and infrastructure upgrades already under the way. And then he also ends it with the Hoover building will be shut down permanently. I think they found a lot of nasty stuff in there, right? And maybe it'll open as a museum, like the Holocaust sites, the concentration camps, and go, this is the Hoover building. It's like a Holocaust site, right? So powerful, what is happening here. Exactly. And so we have more Trump moves. Remember on Christmas, he sent the Nigerians a Christmas present, right? So they're slaughtering Christians, just like they're doing in Canada. We're still waiting for that Christmas present, President Trump. If you're watching, let's do it. It's happening everywhere else too. And so he sent the Nigerian terrorist groups a couple of missiles up their ass and took them out, which is awesome. And also heard from 107 last night that this was a network which was also doing stuff for the stolen election fraud, like you see in Venezuela, like you see everywhere else still going on, the Dominion systems and drug and trafficking, all discussing, all being shut down, all being taken out, everything being traced. Now, I do have a question. I keep seeing information pop up that the United States is still flying like $40 billion a week to Afghan terrorists. That part I don't really understand. Maybe there's something to it. There likely is, but we'll find out in due time if that is true. But here's President Trump, one of his posts on Truth Social about tariffs and creating great wealth, because this is the Jubilee show. This is the last Sunday show of 2025, last show of the year. I don't have anything planned until New Year's for all of you. That may change depending on what happens in the landscape here over the next 70 days, 72 hours. It's going to be pretty positive for sure. He said tariffs are creating great wealth. Again, he's emphasizing great wealth and unprecedented national security for the USA. National security, national economic security. Does anybody notice that this might be a reformation as well? Exactly. NESARA. Trade deficit has been cut by 60%, totally unheard of. 4.3% GDP and going up, way up. No inflation. We're respected as a country again. So we stopped a depression, which the Biden regime auto pen had started. And here you are just going right after it. And again, if anybody doesn't remember, Fletch reposted this just yesterday with regards to Biden. Remember Biden, the clone, the robot, and Trump is great. President Trump is so great at trolling people. It's just awesome, right? I mean, he sits there and he starts his power moves, as a deterrence, not an escalation. Excuse me. I put the wrong one on the screen. Give me a moment and I'll bring this one in from Fletch. Pardon me for a moment. Thank you all, by the way. Yeah, from rocking it in the chats on Rumble, being here live. Totally appreciate it. And it's so great to see all of you. And Rumble, YouTube, looking after it. So what you're seeing here on the screen, and remember, this is posted on May 31st of this year, 47. that there is no Joe Biden. He was executed in 2020, and the Bidens that we see are clones, doubles, and robotic engineered, soulless, mindless entities are what you see. And then it goes on to say, Democrats don't know the difference. So here it is, still there, up on his Truth Social. And that also goes back to what President Trump is talking about with the checkmate, right? And we also have a checkmate, and I'm going to take this over here to give RFK Jr. some incredible accolades, as well as Children's Health Defense, Lee Dundas, Tom Renz, all these other great people, those who I haven't even named yet as well, but are all patriots and all doing this out of the love of their hearts. Here's the article on Children's Health Defense.org. This is RFK Jr.'s website that he helped founded, and I guess he can't really run Children's Health Defense now in his position for federal government, but it's still being run. So checkmate, U.S. Supreme Court delivers huge win for religious exemptions. In case, I'm going to read this to you in case none of you know this, and this is right there. A Supreme Court win. It says U.S. Supreme Court today vacated a lower court decision against a group of Amish parents and school leaders who challenged the state of New York's vaccine mandates for schools, ruling that the appeals court must reconsider the case. Today's ruling could have implication for other states that don't allow religious exemptions, attorneys said. Yeah. And the U.S. Supreme Court vacated that decision, and it's a win for health and religious freedom advocates, one that could have implications for other states. So here we are. It actually does, right? You have a U.S. Supreme Court decision, which is historic. They call it a checkmate for states which refuse to accept religious exemptions. You know, whether they're a hospital care system in Wyoming or Colorado or California, and they're like, yeah, you know, religious exemptions don't work. It's like, no, actually the Constitution says differently, right? Plus, we also just saw that a student at the medical school in Denver, Colorado, won a $10 million payout because they didn't take his religious exemption because he said no to the flu vaccine and COVID-19. Precedent set, right? Now that's the legal precedent set, right? Now we also have to have the lawful precedent set. And again, those are courts martials. Those will be items to take care of from a UCMJ. And remember as well, what we have here with the national security strategy and what we have with President Trump's executive orders, or anybody who has a corporation who is registered in Washington, D.C., which was a city-state, which now no longer is, like City of London is a city within a city, or Vatican City is a city within a country, that even civilians are subject to military court-martial and execution, which is just brilliant from a white hat military strategy and via the law of war manual, following the righteous principles of just war, like we saw from St. Augustine in penning them in the 5th and the 6th centuries as well. That's how we've got our doctrines for the law of war. That's how you have the Geneva Convention, you know, describe ways to conduct war, where chemical warfare was illegal and unlawful in the World War I and World War II, and it still is, and weapons of mass destruction, that you can't use those, you can't use biological weapons, etc. But yet, here we have nation states, bad actors, and corporations who are still doing so upon the population, upon civilians, upon peaceful civilian non-combatants who are violating international treaty and the supreme law of the land of our Creator. And President Trump has set this up so brilliantly, so perfectly. And this is also available for all of you. This isn't without your reach to go get it. You know, Derek and I have our Where We Go On, We Go All weekly shows, right? And I've shown you the Peter Tickton letter to President Trump, you know, many pages long, about how President Trump has the authority now to go in and rescue Tina Peters. He can designate that as the president at a federal level and not be seen as interfering at the state level, let you know, with Governor Paulus, right? And I've got another one for you to share with you. And I highly encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to go look at this, the National Security Strategy for the United States that was published in November, that was shared by the Commander-in-Chief himself, President Trump, right? And he is warming up the nation. And I'm just about to bring it up here. It's just processing the PDF. But in the first 2 pages of this, after the cover page, President Trump says this. I'm going to read it to you now, and I'll show you the screenshot of it in a moment. He says, "My fellow Americans, this is the National Security Strategy for 2025 for the United States of America. And why is this relevant to Canadians, Greenlanders, Costa Ricans, Argentinians, Mexicans, etc.? Because it also outlines the strategy for the entire Western Hemisphere of the Americas, North Pole to South Pole, of the Central, North, and South America, to be covered under the United States military." So here it is, everybody. And he says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 9 months, we have brought our nation and the world back from the brink of catastrophe and disaster." 9 months. Doesn't that sound like global economic and security and reformation to all of you? He goes on to say, "After 4 years of weakness, extremism, and deadly failures, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to restore," I lost my place for a moment, "to restore American strength at home and abroad and bring peace and stability to our world. No administration in history has achieved so dramatic a turnaround in so short a time." 9 months. It's incredible. "Starting on my first day in office, we restored the sovereign borders of the United States and deployed the U.S. military to stop the invasion of our country. We got radical gender ideology and woke lunacy out of our armed forces and began strengthening our military with $1 trillion of investment." That's 1,000 billion. Do you know, everybody, if you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 101, 102 sequentially up to $1 trillion, it would take you over 35,000 years straight. No sleep, no stop for food, water, 35,000 years. It's just incredible. President Trump continues to say, "We rebuilt our alliances, got our allies to contribute more to our common defense, including a historic commitment from NATO countries to raise defense spending from 2 to 5% GDP. We unleashed American energy production to reclaim our independence and imposed historic tariffs to bring critical industries back home. In Operation Midnight Hammer, we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity. I declared the drug cartels and savage foreign gangs operating in our region as foreign terrorist organizations." Thank you, Major General Valley and Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, for that as well. "And over the course of just 8 months, we settled 8 raging conflicts, including between Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt." That was 3,000 years they've been warring with each other, right? Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and ending the war in Gaza with all living hostages returned to their families. America is strong and respected again, and because of that, we are making peace all over the world. Peace through strength. That was Reagan's declaration, and that's what President Trump continues to echo, everyone. "In everything we do," he says, "we are putting America first. We have Major General Valley and Brigadier General Jones to thank for America First policy. Those 2 amazing men, generals, wrote it for President Trump and gave it to him before his 2016 campaign." So what follows is a national security strategy to describe and build upon the extraordinary strides we have made. This document is a roadmap to ensure that America remains the greatest and most successful nation in human history and the home of freedom on earth. In the years ahead, we will continue to develop every dimension of our national strength, and we will make America safer, richer, freer, greater, and more powerful than ever before. All right, you sovereign souls. This was issued from President Trump at the White House, November 2025. And this is a very quick read of 29 pages. So 29 pages. You can go, you can research it, you can find that, get it on the whitehouse.gov or the Defense website and get after it, including in President Trump's power moves just over the last several days. They also announced Trump Media Group merging with the Fusion Energy Company. So Fusion, clean energy, almost free energy, is here. And you remember there was a movie, everybody remembers Val Kilmer and his role in Top Gun as Iceman, right? Well, Val Kilmer played a kind of like a Jason Bourne, but he was on his own, a guy named The Saint. That was the name of the movie. And it had Elizabeth Shue in it, Adventures in Babysitting. I mean, come on, who didn't have a crush on Elizabeth Shue, right? From there to Cocktail, whatever. So that was about fusion energy. You can split an atom, you can harness it, and then you just have incredible amount of energy to power cities and countries for days, weeks, months, years at a time. Well, President Trump, through Trump Media Group, Devin Nunes, former congressman in California, CEO of Trump Media, Truth Social, have completed a merger and a joint venture. And so we have that. So that is a calm as well, including the national energy emergency, which President Trump signed an executive order for earlier this year in 2025, that they're building. Sorry, I've got the air conditioner still. I got a little choke, so hang on a second. One of those little things you have to deal with. It's not a studio, right? It's just a laptop with an amazing background and an incredible audience like all of you. And this is real, getting it done. Well, 90 minutes in now, everybody, so thank you. And just so you know, I was up since 6:30 this morning at this laptop. So I've been in this chair since 6:30 a.m. to prep this show for all of you and bring it out, because this is so incredible where we are right now. And it's so magical. And I hope you're all tapping in to the magic, the love, the freedom, the excitement, the celebration, and the laughter, and elevating yourself for the Jubilee year. That's just a matter of days away, and you're seeing the signs of it now. So back to the fusion energy, free energy devices. And in that National Economic Emergency Act, the president is opening up over 146 brand new energy plants around the country, next generation energy plants, just like he announced the Golden Fleet of Trump ships, and it's called a Trump class warship. Just like the new 6th generation fighter plane is called the F-47. Just like silver is the 47th element on the periodic table. And it has an anatomical number of 107.87. And the first letter A is number 1 in gematria, and G is 17. And you put all that together. And just by the way, the 46th element on the periodic table, everybody, is palladium. And the 29th element, which sits, if you have the periodic table in front of you, copper sits right above silver. It's brilliant. It's amazing to watch what is happening. So here we are at the precipice, everyone, of America being this incredible producer for wealth, for sovereignty, for security. We're also seeing incredible things like Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. In the last 2 weeks, he made major announcements for everybody, which again is the cornerstone for moving it all across the nation and testing the great template in a very MAGA state, Florida. One announcement, abolishing property taxes. And he literally said, in abolishing property taxes, he said, it makes no sense whatsoever, no common sense there, right? No sense whatsoever to buy a home and have to rent that via property taxes. If you buy it, you might pay your taxes once on the sale, and that's it. It's yours. It's your land. It's your property. You're not renting it from anybody, and you're certainly not renting it from a municipal government or a state government. Number 2, what did Ron also do? Governor DeSantis said, if you fear for your safety and protesters are blocking your car in the street, you can run them over and you will not be criminally prosecuted. You will not be charged. How amazing is that? You know what? You have places you want to protest, it's cleared for it. If you want to have rallies, it can be cleared for it. But you don't come out here and you don't wave swords in your face like they're doing in different places in Canada and other places around the world right now, swords, knives, whatever, shouting death to somebody or something, right? And they surround your car and they're beating on your car and you get charged. If you try to speed off your life, so he's covering that too. So deterrence before enforcement, peace through strength. And power like this is exercised first in language before it moves into physical, FA, then FO. And so that's what we've got with the posture statements and the actual policies, which is happening right now everywhere. So everyone, you're in the midst of the biggest silver shockwave, and it will be even bigger and bigger and bigger as the weeks turn into months. It's never going back. The genie's out of the bottle. So many of the banks have already been nearly destroyed by what's happened in the last few weeks. You already see that the COMEX, as I mentioned earlier, freaking unplugged and stopped trading on Thanksgiving for nearly 12 hours and made up a BS story about a server overheating. And what you've got right now is silver, the precious metals bullion. That's what you want. You want actual physical silver. Like, this is real, like real, hold on to it. You don't want paper. You don't want index funds and ETFs, and you don't want to go out to a stock market, begin and say like, well, I want to buy this silver thing and that kind of thing. No. I mean, maybe if you're actually owning a company of a mining producer, but that's kind of it. So we have industrial demand. We have financial currency convergence upon precious metals. We have a massively shrinking above ground supply. And on Thursday, China has frozen, starting Thursday, January 1st, freezing all exports on silver. The Shanghai Exchange had silver at $82 an ounce. I showed you exactly to the penny, $81.99 an ounce. I'll take you live right there, right now, so you can see it once again for yourself, not even a screenshot. Here it is live right now, last updated on Friday, $81.99 an ounce. Holy mackerel. And where was silver in Shanghai on February 2024, 14 months ago? Yeah, $26.27 in Shanghai. And in the US, Western exchanges, $23. But look at this once again, using this as an indicator, right? Here we are on the 1st of December. Silver's 58. Let's go right back here to the 9th of October, 48. And then in the West, 49. You have that little variance in the exchanges internationally. And it's likely when it opens tomorrow, going to rocket right past $90. Freaking incredible where we are right now. And congratulations to all the farmers for standing up. Support them, because we're also in that historical ratio of the gold silver imbalance and bringing it back to metallurism of 15-1. And if you just do the math on what silver would be based on the debt clock at $11.66 an ounce for today, or gold at over $9,500 an ounce today on the debt clock, that gets you to your metallurism, your ratio of exactly what you want to be at constitutional money, everybody. It's freaking amazing. Silver, as they say, is our liberator, and we are literally here in the great jubilee, the great wealth transfer, and like it said last night on Debt Clock, ready, set, go. I look forward to seeing you all in the very new year. And yes, stay a little frosty because some of the New Year's celebrations have been canceled for security reasons, and we shall see. And President Trump, by the way, is set up to get going with the Insurrection Act. And once again, to that fact, we saw in Chicago just on Thursday, a judge say, no, President Trump doesn't have the authority yet to bring the National Guard into Chicago to clear out all of these deep state criminals, murderers, gang rapists, all of that, satanic pedophile worshipers. But, and it said this in the document laid down by the judge, he can invoke the Insurrection Act in his own prerogative, right? As he is the commander-in-chief. Wow. So it's all set up to be amazing. What's to come? So don't listen to projections and models and scenarios. You have the data right here for gold, silver, palladium, precious metals. You can look at the markets. You can look at silver. You can look at precious metals mining companies. You can look at how many mining producers have been purchased in the last 3 months, just in the fourth quarter of this year, gobbled up to make sure. You also have the U.S. military, as I've shown an article here before, because President Trump, since he announced silver is a strategic metal in an executive order this fall that I shared here, and the U.S. military announced that it is having its own precious metal mining companies so that it can continue to be the greatest military in the world and meet all of its demand. It is literally consolidating to ensure this all in itself. I mean, we are at a level where people cannot have their head in the sand and watch this as there's hyperinflation in some markets and the people are freaking hemorrhaging silver like the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association right now, for massive fear. And then on top of that, $17 billion was asked by the Federal Reserve on Friday to cover short positions, emergency funds. We'll see what happens in just a matter of like 16 hours when the market opens, right? So here we are. We've got truth in front of us right now. Currencies reset, revaluations and other ones from across the world, like the dinar, the dong, you name it, from a sovereignty standpoint, from a JSARA standpoint, and from a NESARA of other nations too. And this is exactly where that is. And you can always go to the United States Geological Service silver supply data, USGS silver supply data. You can input that into your Google, your browser. You can see what's going on with the silver statistics. All of this is there for you, dear souls. It's awesome to have you here. Look forward to seeing you on the next show. Thank you all so much for supporting each other, commenting with each other in the chat. It's freaking amazing time for all of us to be alive. Jennifer, you're most welcome. Thank you too for being here, for your comments. Truly appreciate that. And we'll see all of you next time in a few days. Until then, all the links are below. You can follow us on Telegram, X, Facebook, True Social. And even though you haven't really seen me out here for about 10 days, I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 videos that over the next few weeks, you're going to see being released with some additional new content. So stay tuned to that and more channels. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year's and God bless. All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the Golden Age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500%. since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.